Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film Riddick. The titular character of Riddick, played by Vin Diesel, who has been abandoned on a deserted, uninhabited by any kind of intelligent life planet. He's there for a while, and then a bunch of bounty hunters come to track him down and collect the bounty on him. One group of bounty hunters wants his head, and the other one want him for other mysterious means, and he has to evade them while also avoiding a rainstorm that's coming that also has some creepy, crazy alien beasts in it. He has to help survive with them through the rain. Riddick is kind of a weird franchise because it's not a very popular franchise. It's not a franchise that keeps going along because the last film was especially successful. I mean, Pitch Black did all right. Then we had the Chronicles of Riddick, which no one really liked, and now we have Riddick. It's kind of an odd passion vanity project that Vin Diesel has brought onto us. Most movie stars, when they have a vanity project, it's like to show they have a better acting range or they can do a different kind of a role. But I guess Vin Diesel, this is his kind of a vanity project because he now has the rights to Riddick. He got the rights to Riddick for being in Tokyo Drift. They didn't pay him, they just gave him the rights to the character Riddick, and he has a very big passion for it. He makes kind of B movies, and I think right now he's become famous for the Fast and Furious films, which are kind of ironic B movies. He's kind of strayed away from all the movies that he made that everyone kind of hated him for, that weren't good. It kind of tainted his brand. He hasn't started any of those in quite a while. That's kind of helped his stock because for most people have just seen him recently in Fast 5 and Fast 6. And this is kind of the first time he's kind of gone away from that franchise and made Riddick. And I think it kind of harkens back to the early 2000s when you saw tons of Vin Diesel movies in the theaters. I remember Triple X being alright, but most of them were pretty terrible and unmemorable. And this kind of harkens back to that. And the writing even sounds like it's written by someone who would have been obsessed with those Vin Diesel movies, or really obsessed with just action sequences and macho posing and lots of testosterone, because nothing in this film is dictated really by character. It's dictated by having a cool action sequence or a cool, awesome situation, either an excuse for the brief nudity that's in it, or to have Riddick fight a monster, or to Riddick fight another monster, or to fight this bounty hunter. It's not really built in a way a normal screenplay is written. It's written by someone who thinks action movies are all about action and not about story, and that's what you get with Riddick. It kind of pretends like it's a Western influenced sci-fi movie the way Pitch Black was, but I think it has less of that. It's probably a worse written screenplay, but probably a better made film than Pitch Black because the production values are a lot better. I think it's shot a lot better, edited better, special effects are all better, and not just because it's been 13 years. I think they spent a lot more time on it and clearly had a better budget. The story is fairly bad, just because you're dictating it based on something that's very surface, and this is supposed to be a leaner film. Like the first film in this franchise, Pitch Black, is very lean, and when you have kind of these lean economical films, you have to have like good actors to balance that out and things to say about these characters and interesting characters. This film is a lot like a John Carpenter film, Ghosts from Mars, or Ghosts of Mars, whichever. That's kind of one of the worst John Carpenter movies, probably the worst John Carpenter movie. This is kind of like a better version of Ghosts of Mars. It's very influenced by what Carpenter did, because Carpenter would make these sci-fi influenced westerns or an action movie that's a riff on a western. And Riddick kind of wants to be that and kind of gets westerns, but not really the character of it. It just gets the posing of it. It's almost written like a 15-year-old who wears Punisher shirts likes writing like violent fan fiction, and all the profanity in it feels especially forced. Like they just like over curse. It just feels like really forced in there. It sounds like they just put a bunch more fucks just to make sure this was R. None of them feel like characters, and I think if you look at a film like Assault on Precinct 13, you reveal things about the characters as it goes on. So there's a real attachment. Like by the end, it feels very intense because you care about these characters. And not only does this film not have any of that, and there's no real building, there's no real arc. You don't really like have this version of Riddick at the beginning of the film that totally changes by the end of the film, like in Attack the Block did also. He's this invincible guy who can do like pretty much figure his way out of almost anything. He's a really boring kind of character to watch. You don't really grow with him. He's not someone you really want to hang out with. He's just awesome. That's not very interesting, and that the film doesn't end with like a big intense moment that, you know, people are slowly dying or anything. It kind of just ends like, you know, oh, yet another adventure of Riddick. It is just like a B science fiction movie. I mean, it's not too many steps from being like a sci-fi original movie. It has better special effects and things like that. But I've never liked in these franchises the character designs of the aliens are always like the ugliest looking aliens. They're never like very memorable. It's interesting to see someone have an approach of a film that's economical and leaner and kind of not do it very well. And I think a lot of times my problems with films is they're too complicated. There's too many characters, there's too much going on, and it just gets lost in all of that. And here's a film that actually fails in being lean and economical, which I find very interesting because it's something you don't see in normal everyday Hollywood. So in a way, this film, it did something different. Vin Diesel, you know, without his irony and without the fun that he's been having with the Fast and the Furious films, it's kind of a reminder of, oh yeah, Vin Diesel was in all these crappy movies I didn't like, and that's why I got sick of him. That's why we went through that period where we didn't see him in anything for a while, because he just kind of had to retreat. And it's like kind of him reminding us. I don't know why he'd want to remind us of that. It's almost like a throwback to the early 2000s, not something we necessarily needed. So if you have seen Riddick and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.